I'm Adam Englehardt. I run the growing operations for California Olive Ranch, as well as the grower relations. So we're here at our Artois Ranch, located in Northern California. Artois is around 2,000 acres of 4- and 5-year-old olive trees. You see here, we're standing above an Arbequina and a Koroniki block. Most of this ranch, again, is 4 and 5 years old, so just coming into its peak production for oil production and things like that. So we'll harvest this ranch. Typically start about the end of October, and these trees will produce around 200 gallons of olive oil per acre. Most of these soils here are all very marginal soils that in the past were used for either alfalfa or dryland pasture and wheat production. So very, very marginal soil that was not suitable for other types of tree crops and other higher value crops. These are 4-year-old Arbequina trees. Just a little bit of a detail of how we grow the olive tree. These trees are planted on a 13-foot wide row, 5 feet between the trees, for 670 trees per acre. The trees are grown on a bamboo stake to support the growth of the tree. This system allows us to grow these trees to maximize the area of canopy and also to remove the fruit very quickly and efficiently, mechanically, to get it off the tree and to the mill faster. So if you look at a little bit of detail, the olive tree is a bit unique. What we see right here is young, new, supple growth that has grown this year. This wood will be fruitful next year. And then back a little bit on the growth here, you see wood that grew in 2010 that now has olives just starting to grow. So at the stage of development we're in now, we entered into bloom, essentially flowering, in end of May. This year it was the 24th of May in this block. So we track when the bloom comes at each block. So what we look at is as this fruit grows, some of the fruit will become dominant and other fruits on this inflorescence, what this is called, will actually drop off. And if we end up with 4 to 5 fruit per inflorescence, it's a very good crop. So the idea is not to have too heavy a crop and not too light of a crop, but a very consistent crop yearly, and also produce ample regrowth to produce your crop for next year. One of the keys to producing a good olive crop and also good growth is access to the sunlight. So you can see here that I'm looking right now to the west, and these tree rows are planted north-south, and we do that to allow the maximum amount of sunlight to reach the whole length of this canopy. So you can see it's 4:30 in the afternoon right now, and the entire canopy here is being illuminated by the sun in the west. One of the keys to this system, and one of the advantages for olives in general, especially super high density, as you can see, we grow them on very marginal soil. Again, soil that would not be suitable for other crops. Normally this soil is very low in nutrition, it's very low in organic matter. So what we try to do is actually grow cover crops, either planted or native cover crop that you see here, that adds organic matter to that soil. And then later in the summer, after this has a chance to grow, we'll actually chop this down, and once about every 4 years we'll incorporate this plant material into the soil to help the organic matter get into the ground. The other key to the super high density production is the use of drip irrigation. So essentially you can see the drip hose running here. Each of these emitters, and there's 2 emitters per tree, puts out a half a gallon of water per hour, and that half a gallon of water is applied directly to where the tree's roots are. And what we find is by doing that, we can apply significantly less water because we are placing that water exactly where the tree needs it, and we're using moisture probes and environmental transpiration calculations to determine exactly how much water this tree needs on a daily basis. So rather than irrigate one very long set intermittently once a week, we try to irrigate daily or every other day to give the tree exactly what it needs for that day. And we found that has reduced the amount of water we use significantly, to the point that in an orchard like this, we'd use about 1.5 acre feet in a year, and that's around 1/3 to 1/4 of what you would see in other similar crops that would be grown on this type of soil. So we're really in uncharted territory, and I think the challenge is, what is the American consumer going to want from their olive oil, and then what do we do to best fit that need? And I think we're probably ahead of just about anybody in the world in terms of being there now. You know, the reason we grow the varieties we grow is because it fits the need of what our customer is looking for. And at the same time, by growing it in this fashion, it allows us to grow them economically and still produce a very high quality extra virgin olive oil. And that's really the beauty of the mechanization and the application of modern farming practices. And now we are growing these olives specifically for oil, farming them specifically for oil to meet a very defined goal in a final product. And that's what's interesting. I think what's exciting about Core and working with the growers of Core and the California Olive Ranch orchards is we can connect the dots all the way across the board.